Hello, this is Miss Andrea, and this is not another homeschool vlog. I made a video 2 years ago, and this video gets, dozens of hits a day, and the short attached to that video gets 100 or 2 hits a day. And I keep going back and looking at this video because overall, my videos just peter, but this video has longevity. And so I keep looking at this video and trying to figure out what is it about this video. Honestly, I feel like it might be because of who I profiled in the video, and it was someone called Homeschoolpicker. Now, there seems to be some conspiracies whereas the Homeschoolpicker is involved. The title would have you think that she was a homeschooling mom, but you never see her kids. You currently see her with her boyfriend, her beau, whatever, and I guess a couple of years ago, he was married to someone else. And the videos are literally them going from yard to yard sale to estate sale to estate sale, buying things to resell. But we don't really see them sell the stuff. We don't really see how they're profiting from it. But generally, the idea is if you're homeschooling your kids, you need that time at home with them. And so, what do you do to make sure that you're in a good financial place to be able to continue homeschooling? I actively homeschooled my kids for 10 years. And then after that, I counseled homeschoolers and have since started a homeschool program, which I now own. And I did most of the time have the luxury to stay home with my kids and not think about money. But from time to time, there were moments when I did need to think about money. And some of the things I did would include buying and reselling. This is before yard sale picking and reselling became a thing. This was, oh my gosh, 2003, 4, 5, right? And I was literally going into Ross stores, buying markdown designer brands and reselling them on eBay and making a killing. And I got into it because one day I decided to clear my closet, and the things in my closet sold really well. And I said, oh, well, if they like the clothes in my closet, they'll like my taste. So I went shopping at Ross stores and similar stores, and then came home and listed those items and resold them. The cool thing was sometimes that I could wear something once and then resell it. So that went on for a couple of years. And that was right around the time that Meg Whitman became head of eBay. And shipping and listing fees shot way up. And then they made a lot of rules that were more conducive to large companies on eBay than individuals on eBay. And so when a lot of sellers left eBay, all my buyers left eBay, because the people that were buying my clothes, and I was only buying what I could wear because I knew what I liked and I knew what people who were built like me would like. So I was generally buying and selling plus sized women's clothes. That population kind of left eBay. So at that point, it was about 2005, and there was some overlap. And I started writing, and I'd been writing on and off for years. I like to read, and then I like to write. And so I signed up for a website that allowed you to write from home, and it was called Associated Content. And then eventually became called Yahoo Voices. And from there, I wrote for AOL, and I wrote for Families.com, and I just became a homeschool blogger for the next 6 or 7 years until Google Panda happened. Do y'all remember Google Panda? Where Google knocked all competitors out of their search engines. And so articles that I had been getting paid, I had been getting paid commissions of 1,000 a month on my articles. And that was before I ever wrote anything because I was making 100 a day and then I was making 1,000 a month on top of that. Some months were much higher. October through December was much higher because of the type of articles I wrote were more fall and Christmas type things outside of the homeschooling stuff. So anyway, that went really well for a while. And honestly, that's where I got a lot of my information on homeschool guidance counseling because AOL specifically had me interview admissions counselors at a bunch of different colleges. And so that was a learning experience for me and very valuable. So all that to say is you can make money while homeschooling your kids. And my advice is to do something you are good at. The Homeschoolpicker, for example, is good at spotting items that can be resold, apparently, right? And she's also good at YouTubing because it seems like she's spending more time with people watching her buy things than watching her sell things. So she's just got that audience that's following her around, watching her buy things, and hopefully they're learning what to buy and what to not buy through that. After homeschooling, around the time right before I started my homeschool program, I was also doing picking and resale because YouTube had died off, blogging had died off, and I was bored. And so thrift stores, spotting cool things, reselling them. And I got myself a spot in one of those vintage antique resale type stores where you get a booth. You pay anywhere from $100 to $300 a month for your little, I don't know, 5x5 to 10x10 or 12x12 space. And you set up your little store within the store and you sell. And actually, I did 3 stores, and at one point I had 2 at one time. I may have had 3 at one time. I was doing really well in some areas. And it came down to me niching into, I don't have any of them in here, niching into doing custom throw pillows. So, custom throw pillows. But I would have funny, cute, or nostalgic words on them. And they were doing extremely well until other people in the stores that I was in caught on that I was doing extremely well. And they started copying me and watered down my market. And at that point, COVID happened and I just quit. That was that. Something like that could definitely work if you are the person who's renting the store, if you are the person who's running the resale establishment, and you're the one renting out the booths and things of that nature. And honestly, it's something that I really have thought about over the years because I know that that model is much more profitable. And I would love to be in charge of an establishment like that where I could ensure that each vendor has their own area or niche and other people weren't coming in copying them and knocking their sales down. For example, my bestie was really good at repainting and reselling furniture. Oh my God, my eyes. She was specifically good at redoing dressers and small tables and things of that nature. I did some of that successfully, but I have a bad back. And so my doctor was like, stop moving furniture. What's wrong with you? Which is why I went smaller and smaller until I found my niche in pillows. There was a lady in the last place I was in that did small plants and succulents, and she did really well in her area. And if everyone in the store has their own little specific niche, that's really cool. So if that's something you want to do, I recommend you form a co-op with some like-minded people who don't sell exactly what you sell. Get 10 people together, rent a space. For example, the space I use for my homeschooling runs about $1,400-1,500 a month, 4,000 square feet. So you can get 10 people together, get 1,000 square feet, right? And then take turns doing the cashier work. Get a simple payment system and take turns doing the cashier work. I could see that really working. If I have the time and patience, I would consider it. So I actually opened a Reddit question about homeschool and working part-time. It says, hi, my husband and I are expecting a baby girl in October. We have decided that homeschooling is the best option for our family and our daughter's education. I'm working my master's in vocal performance and I love teaching private singing / music theory / musicianship lessons. I think having a studio at home or area where I could teach a few hours, 10 to 15 a week, would be doable and necessary financially for our family. What are your experiences in having a part-time job, whether from home or at another location, while also being the main homeschool organizer / teacher for your kids? My husband and I will both work together for lesson planning, choosing a good program to follow, but he'd be working during the week. What are your thoughts? Um, Sounds like a solid plan. Some of the kids I'm currently homeschooling, the girls, have an eye on their future, right? They know is that they also want to homeschool their own kids. It blows my mind that 15, 16, 17-year-olds saying this, but that's what they're thinking. And so they are strategically planning their college degrees based on what kind of business can I have that will allow me to work from home and replicate what my parents have done for me. And so this is a super solid idea. The best thing you can do is take classes in entrepreneurship and personal finance and marketing a business and things of that nature. And then also get a certificate or a degree in your field of expertise. In this person's case is music, which is super niche. And any homeschool program in her general area, and honestly, any homeschool program in her general area would also hire her to teach music for their group. So, the street can be so noisy at night. People drag race. And so, any where you can turn around and teach that back to kids is really good for a homeschool parent. If you're more of a hustler and you like to go out and buy and sell, you also still just have to have a strong niche. So here's what people said to her. Currently work a full-time job out of the home, and 3 days a week we nanny a baby in our home. Wow. Daughter starting second grade this year. We've only ever done homeschool. Here's what works for me. Throw a schedule out the window. You're never going to stick to it, and you'll guilt yourself every day about being off task or not on schedule. Forget that. I do 30-minute sessions 3 to 4 times a day. Okay. This year, we will do two 45-minute and two 30-minute sessions in kindergarten. I only expected 3 to 4 20-minute sessions. For that grade level, it's okay. As long as our work gets done, we don't follow a schedule. I allow her to sleep in the morning. She has a medical condition that she takes medicine for that makes her sleepy, so I allow her to sleep in. She has breakfast and we start her day. Next lesson, life lessons count as education up to a certain age. Grocery shopping trips become lessons in budget, money, meal prep, list planning. Trips to the laundromat become lessons in color sorting and the effects of hot water on cloth. You only have to learn that once. Lunches and independent studies. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I just feel like sometimes people oversimplify homeschooling in the younger years. And so when the kids get to the middle school years, they're not taking it super seriously. And that's when things start to get a little wobbly. Okay. Lesson. Figure out what you're going to tell people when they ask. Aren't you worried that they won't be socialized? Okay. I have worked full time and homeschooled as a single mom. A lot of that's happening these days. Since 2020, I'm seeing a lot of single moms homeschooling. Be prepared to give up your own hobbies. If anyone has any tips on keeping them, I love to hear them. Totally worth it. My daughter is 8, and if she's naughty, rare. I bluff, threaten, send her to public school. She shapes up immediately. So did mine. Currently, I'm in school also, so we have more time together, but more as though I weren't working from home, not dedicated. Still work beautifully. Homeschool is great for working because you can set the homeschool schedule. If you have flexible work hours, you can also rearrange those hours. We homeschool in the morning for about 2 to 3 hours based on the day. Then I log into work for the rest of the day. I work from home and my child is upper elementary. Okay, oh yeah. Said I worked on and off the whole time I was homeschooling my kids. I have friends who are homeschooling who have no choice but to work. They either teach in homeschool programs or they have their own businesses that they can run while the kids are at homeschool programs or while the kids are also home with them homeschooling. And so I hope you found this incredibly helpful, whether you are reselling, picking and reselling, making things and selling them at craft fairs, doing marketing or writing, whatever it is you decide to do while you're homeschooling your child. Of all these things, I highly recommend you that niche, that thing you are better at than everybody else, and zero in on that. So that's all I have. Till next time.